You are listening to
Marty and the Breaux. Disclaimer here, like I like to go and say, like, this segment. We're not trying to necessarily just bash God, but actually, open the conversation up to a little more, what's the word? Dynamic.
Just have a thorough conversation around it from all the way around the sphere of the topic.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for, there's a lot of stuff that is left on the side of the road. There's either, a lot of times it's either, is there God's real or God's not real? There's just, there's just, hard line with, whether it be religion and atheist. And for me, like my current actual growth in religion, as far as it goes, like, I'll tell you another story. So there was this guy, well, around the time after I had come to Jesus, metaphorically, right? My come to Jesus moment where I left, where I stopped
Jesus
believing.
Moment where you left Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah. So after,
I love it.
Right, after that happened, man, I started thinking, a lot deeper about stuff. And still, don't get me wrong, anybody who's, there's that moment where, because a lot of these things are automatic thoughts that you have, as far as, we're taught these things since we're kids. So, am I sinning is something that's kind of, it took a long time for thoughts like that to subside in my mind, or, like the constant, pressure and thought of somebody watching me constantly, weird shit like that, religion breeds, So, but during this time I met this guy named Pure, shout out to the homie, right? But this dude, man, he really helped with a lot of my growth as far as it comes with religion. Cause, like I said, like that moment with YouTube helped me to stop, buying the creation myth.
It opened your mind. Yeah,
exactly.
It got you to start questioning everything at that point.
Exactly. This dude Pure.
Then you're like, I got to figure this out.
This dude Pure made me completely stop thinking.
He was like a neighbor or something like that.
Yeah. He was just the homie that lived. Yeah, he lived somewhere down the street. I just see him on, we just. To be honest with you, we both hustled, on the same block together. So that's how I knew him, you know what I mean, back then. But yeah. So we'd sit out on the stoop, I was staying off Corporate in Bel Air, around the time I got shot, actually, right? But so this dude here, he was basically like a mentor when it came to getting out of the idea of Christianity and religion for me, right? And specifically religion and Christianity, right? Not so much as believing in God. And what he did for me was, just throwing out little ideas like, stuff you probably hear normally, like, why would you believe a religion? Why would you believe a book that was given to your ancestors, in chains on a boat, right? Just little interesting, tidbits like that really sat with me, made me think like, yeah, that don't make no goddamn sense. You know what I mean? Like, why would I believe this book? Why would I?
Right. No, and if I could chime in on that, the thing that I think about in that same vein is if you go back 400 years and you think about how the population of African citizens, they were in the tribes more at that time, as a more primitive time. If we're talking about 400 years ago, and all of those tribes had their own relationship with the spirituality and the spirit world and the natural world, and they had rituals. That had nothing to do with Christianity. And then they are rounded up, thrown on a slave ship, and brought to another country where the language is different, everything is different. And part of that time, missionaries are introducing them to Christianity.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't make for somebody who's a descendant of slaves, whose ancestors came through that route, to be a Christian and to believe in the Jesus Christ that is introduced to us by white Christianity, if we could say, like,
exactly.
It just doesn't make a whole lot of
Western
sense.
Civilization. Yeah, man. Like I think it makes no sense at all, man. And that's, and that's the crux of my issue, like, I guess. Yeah. It's not even the idea of, because, like I told you, I don't have an issue with the idea of God being, real and an entity in and of itself. I think it's
we should define God. If we're going to talk about God, we should define it in some way. So when you say God, most of the time you're thinking of sort of the Christian God or the religious based God. as opposed to the flying spaghetti monster or some other
exactly
concept of God.
I like to man, like, well, I think you're right. Saying I prefer to not define God, because I think God should be whatever it is to people, but it's
it gets hard to talk about it when you're have two different definitions of it, or when you're not talking about this.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly, but that's why I prefer like thinking of, 'cause I think the more colloquial idea of God is the best God to speak on, which is like the God of the Bible, right? So in America,
so it's like the everyday, the common usage of God.
Exactly, the guy who will throw you in a in a pit of fire. That's the God I think we should saying address as far as when we're talking about him for obvious reasons here in America.
Okay.
Right? So that
fair enough.
Yeah. So speaking on that God, I think.
Let me tell you real quick how I left. You kind of told a little bit about how you left religion. I was about 16 years old, and I was. Sorry, Maya really wants to play with this ball down here. I'm sorry about that, everybody. But she's cute, but she's a willful child, you might say. And do you want to pause a second or keep going?
Yeah, we could pause real quick. All right. Give me a
All
second.
right. Let's pause. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how I left religion myself. Yeah. I was I was, grew up Christian and had that background that I told you about. But then when I was more like 13, 14, 15, I started to just question more. And then I remember being 16 years old and thinking more about how when you step back from Christianity and you start to look at the world and all the different religions of the world, and how they have this way of canceling each other out. Because at that point in time, I'm trying to think, is this true or not? Am I believing in something that is true? Like a concept of God from the Christian, from Christian, origins, is that God real? And I'm kind of going through all those debates in my mind. And when I think about somebody being born in another country, if they were born in a Muslim country, they wouldn't be Christian. They would grow up Muslim. And but they think that Christians all have it wrong. And I don't know, they were just in my head. It's like, okay, this is not adding up. And if this part's not true, then how much of the other stuff's not true? Exactly. And it ended up being quite a lot of it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I raised my hand as somebody who was a former Christian, and I am a former Christian, I guess you might have to say, but I never really had a choice. That's part of what bothers me about it, is that I never had a choice about it. And I found, just to talk about it for a second, the legacy of religion for me, like even though I left religion at 16, that whole thought about maybe I'm Jesus and all the baggage that went with that is something that I carried forward. And when I think about, I didn't drink alcohol, for example, till I was 40 years old. Damn. All through my 30s, through my 40s. I know you don't drink alcohol now, and I barely drink it. Yeah. But still, the fact that I had sort of this mental prohibition against drinking alcohol, I'm sure it had roots in decisions that were made when I was 4.5 years old, thinking maybe I'm Jesus.
100%.
And that's not fair.
Yeah. I think it is. I think that's going into some of my issues with religion, right? Well, with the with the idea of especially Christianity specifically, right? Like I think it's there. Let's just I guess couching it in the beginning. There are good aspects I believe that religion carries, right? Saying the sense of community. There are those kind of there are positives to being in a community in general, right? Like which religion can
100%,
which religion can
facilitate,
accommodate, exactly, right? But the big problem I have with religion is I think it makes people a little more docile than they should be, right? And the reason for that, in my opinion, is the
what did the white missionaries, what was the first thing that they emphasized in terms of Christianity to the slaves? Forgiveness. That was a big part of Christianity, is that forgiveness. Forgiveness.
I think it's even deeper than that, though, right? Because I think it's it's the not even the need to forgive. There's no, why worry about it when this world, this life doesn't even matter. There's a better one for you later on, right? You know what I'm saying? What is it? All this, you got to make sure you treat people right. You can't get mad, turn the other cheek when people are wronging you, because, later on when, that time when nobody else knows about, when you die, we have no idea, for sure there's paradise then. Don't worry about paradise here. Worry about paradise then, and that's that kind of like that idea to me is just something that really is just like, hold on.
Troublesome.
Yeah.
That's troublesome.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I don't know a lot now. You know what I mean? But I know when I'm being bamboozled now. I can tell you, I can tell when somebody's trying to pull one over on me, and it seems like y'all trying to pull one over on me. And there's a lot of history. There's a lot of, that kind of stuff going on in religion. So for example, if you like what you just saw, make sure you like, share, subscribe, so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.